So when you have two rooks on the 7th rank, we know that they're powerful, right? And if you want a draw, you can take it anytime you want. How? Imagine this is the last round of a tournament. A draw will get you the first prize. How do you make it a draw? How do you make it a draw?
Rook b7.
Which rook? A b7, G b7. Tell me. A b7. I move my king.
And then rook b7.
b7. I move my rook. I move again.
So then rook g b7.
That will be checkmate, right? So I'll go back. You can keep repeating. So if you want to draw, you just keep repeating with the same rook.
So the best move is c6.
No, that we will get there. We are talking about how you, if you want to draw, how to do that. That's what we're discussing. Na? So try to focus properly. There is no need to answer questions that are not even asked. So try to stay in the topic. No need to be over smart. So rook to b7 check, king moves, again check, king moves. This is how you make the draw. If you want to draw, right? Now because you've got some pawns close to the end, you can win this. And how do we win this? Vihas, please, Prayan, you still heard?
Yes, a bit.
Okay. So Vihas, can you find out how to win this position? That's right. Wait, let him answer. C6. So how does that help you, Vihas? Let's say I push my pawn.
Sir, rook to b7.
Which rook?
Sir, rook g
G
to
b7. I move my king.
Sir, rook a to.
Okay, there you just say rook here, yeah? So that's it. So either you can start with the rook check, which is maybe better. You give a check, king moves. Here you're winning because you just have one rook that can be supported. If you can support one rook, then it's game over. The other one will go down. If your pawn is not part of this, then you cannot win this. Imagine pawn is here and you have the same position.
So
Now,
it wasn't g7.
wherever it was, it doesn't matter where the rook was. The position is what matters. No? So try to focus properly. So if this was a position, then you cannot win this. White can only make a draw. So if it is your game, you should go for the draw here by giving checks with the same rook or with that rook. But because you've got a pawn here, the position is winning after check, king moves and pawn push. So this is how you win when you have two rooks on the 7th rank. Let's see another position that is similar but a little more difficult. So this time your pawns are not close to the other side. Okay, so very similar looking position, just like the last position. You've got two rooks on the 7th rank. If you want the draw, again you've got it. How do you draw this, Nikhil? If you're white and you want to draw,
See, bring the
which rook? A rook or the D rook?
D rook.
D rook. This rook here. I move the king.
Then again I move.
Again you move this rook. I'll keep moving and you'll keep doing the same thing. So here it's okay, but it's better to do it with the A rook. Because D rook was anyway stopping the king from going there. Na? If there was something defending the square, then this will not become a draw if you use the D rook. So if you do this, it's very simple. Just keep repeating and it will become a draw. Now we have a way to win this. Even though our pawns are not going to help our rooks, we still have a way to win this because his pieces are not there on the last rank. There's no rook covering the last rank, which is why there's a chance for you to win this. Let's try to find out that way. White to play and find the best continuation for white. So 2 minutes to think and then we will discuss. Hello, Anish. Hello, Nirav. You can keep your bags there and have a seat.
So can I have water?
Yeah, sure.
So like to play?
Yes, Anish, like always.
Checkmate. No.
Who's talking about checkmate here?
Oh, I've been behind.
But you're winning position. It could be checkmate, it could be being a hookup, it could be anything.
Oh, awesome. Checkmate.
Has anybody decided already? No, right? Okay, cool.
Can I?
Yeah, sure. What is your move?
I'll bring the knight to support. So first to e5.
Then I'll take it, bishop takes.
Oh,
So that fast way is not there. If you could play knight e5, knight c6, then you win. But you can't do that here.
Excuse me.
Anyone? No, okay. You all have had positions with rooks on the 7th rank before, right?
Sir, I'm just
It's a bit-
calculating.
Okay. So it's a very common thing, but if you do it exactly right, you will win games than just draw them. Here there is space on the 7th rank. That's why we are able to win this. But how?
Sir,
Yes, Prayan.
rook to c7,
Which rook to c7?
the a1.
So rook a c7 you're saying.
Rook a c7.
Okay. So what's the idea? What are you? How are you
So
trying to
what
win?
my idea is after I bring my rook there, then I'll bring the c rook like to maybe c6, and then later we bring our rook to d8 to give. Oh wait, my bad, my
And the
bad.
king will just come up.
Yeah, yeah.
You already have two rooks in 7th rank. Your way to win is to get them out of the 7th rank. Then how are you going to win?
I didn't see that.
The reason why you're winning is because you're controlling the 7th rank completely. The moment you lose control, there's no win. Black will be in a better position because you'll take this hanging. So, yes, Arav.
So pawn b5.
When will that train reach the station, Arav? So, isn't it too slow? Let's
No,
say
sir.
I play rook takes pawn. What next?
Sir, b6.
B6. So your idea is, are you making any threat right now?
Threatening
No
to-
threat. I'll just take the pawn.
So then.
Do your worst. What's it? What are you gonna do?
So rook d.
No. Don't hijack his answer. Let him finish. No. What was your big threat? I have threats in case you are wondering. So now game has gone out of control. Maybe let's see if Arav has a continuation. No?
Sir, rook b7.
Rook b7, king c8. Don't play rook c7, that'll be a blunder because I'll take with check. So that's the chance is gone. Like it's too slow because black will get his counterplay. If you give him one move, he'll get his counterplay. And if you allow him to take, then you're already in trouble. So you have to act fast. There's no time to bring your pawn with two moves. That's too slow. So who else? Yes, Shrenik.
Sir, rook b7.
A b7 or D b7, which
So
one?
rook d b7.
Rook D b7, king c8.
Then rook takes e7.
Rook takes e7. I come back to b8. What happened? You're acting like you lost everything because of your move. What does it mean? I just came back. What's the problem? That's it. Then you have to think. Then you have to think more. You have to think more.
Sir, then rook.
f7.
I take this. So he's giving a check. I go. He takes. I come. He's taking another pawn. I take here, and my counterplay also starts.
So then I'll take the bishop.
Yes,
No,
sir.
he's taking E, no?
No,
sir,
Oh,
E7.
okay. My bishop is hanging, no? So rook check, king moves. You're taking the pawn. I move back. You're taking the pawn. You're attacking my bishop. So I'll move my bishop. Let's say I move my bishop to no square to move the bishop. Let's see.
Sir, H8.
No, then you'll
Oh,
yeah, H8. I'll go to
So then I'll
H8.
take the h7 pawn.
You'll take H7. I'll come to. Wait, let's understand that line. So he's giving a check. King moves. He's taking the pawn. He's threatening mate. So I go back here. He's taking the pawn. Right? Okay. Now let's see if I've got something better. I think I
So you
have.
can play bishop to f8. Wait, no.
No, sir,
No,
we
I
can
can
take-
Yeah,
do
yeah.
bishop. But then he will take this.
Sir, you can play a rook takes h3.
Then
You
he
can
takes my
play
bishop.
you can move the
So
bishop.
my bishop is hanging. No? So let's see. Is there any move I can play here to save my bishop? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah. If I play rook takes, you will take the bishop, and I don't. Okay, I'll play rook takes. You will take my bishop, and I play rook a4. That should get me back the piece.
So then we
Since
will
rook
do-
and
yeah,
since
yeah.
rook-
Rook
Ah,
f7.
you'll save your rook, and then you'll save your knight.
Sir, rook f7.
Rook
Sir,
f7.
Rook f7.
Sir, rook a f7.
RA f7.
Rook a f7. Oh, you're threatening checkmate, so I can't take the knight.
So you can't.
Okay. So his answer is like correct. He could have done it a little better, but what he did in the beginning, in the first two moves, that made sure he won the game. So let's see what he did basically. The rook was here, right?
No, sir. It was
Here. There was a pawn here. This rook was here. Bishop was here. Pawn here. Pawn here. So what Stenik did, he didn't directly take the pawn. If he had directly taken the pawn, then my counterplay comes fast. Then before he attacks my bishop, his knight is hanging. Because I'll take the pawn and this is also hanging. So what he did was he gave a check and then took the pawn. That way his play became faster. Yes, so because he is making a threat, I don't have time to do my counterplay. So I have to play king b8 to king d8, and that's why he is winning. Please have a seat, Srikanth. So that is why he is winning, and now he played rook takes pawn, rook takes f7. He could have done it a little better. How could he have done this better? To make sure opponent has no chance at all. The idea is right, what he did till now. Next move also you can do the same thing. How? Yes, Ansh.
Sir, rook d7.
Which rook?
Sir.
A rook or E rook? Rook A B7
E
or
rook, E rook.
rook E B7. King moves.
Then rook takes f7.
Yeah. Now take back. Same thing that you did first. Continue that. Repeat. So this is what we call a windmill. The rook just keeps rotating. King has again got to come back. I can't even go to D8 because you're threatening checkmate. So I have to come back. And now let me ask Nirav, what is the next move?
Sir, again rook d7.
FB7 or AB7.
fb7.
FB7. Again, you can take the bishop for free, but why take it for free when you can do it with tempo? And then take the bishop. And now I'll move the king again because you're threatening mate.
So then
what
why?
is-
So then,
Sir, can you play rook a f7?
Yeah, you can just play rook AF7 and checkmate, right? Srikanth will probably play rook B7 and then take that pawn and then give checkmate because he wants to prolong the game.
I want
But
option
but yeah, rook F7 should finish the game and that's it.
That's
So
what
we
option.
do it with tempo. We don't just take pieces or pawns. You give check, then take. Give check, then take. That way he doesn't have time to do anything.
But sir,
He has to
torturing
move
your
the king.
opponent is fun.
Exactly.
Right. If you don't want to look at him after that.
Wait, who did I torture?
I don't know. Good that you forgot, but your opponent won't forget.
Oh yeah.
Sir, I think-
Vihan Agarwal.
This
Okay.
is the game played with him.
I think Vihan Agarwal still has trauma. He's here. Both of you.
Hey, remember once I played with that Vihan Gajriya and then I was in hot boiling soup and then suddenly he gave up his
No,
queen.
that is like you played well and you won. Na? This is like he had an extra queen, extra queen. He gave up the queen and promoted to a rook and then did a rook checkmate. Basically torching the opponent, which is not getting any good fair play points for Srikanth.
Yeah, but it's not
But
losing
yeah,
fair.
But it's within the rules.
And usually my opponents don't resign, so like.
You like asking them to resign.
Yeah.
Not doing that. Okay.
Because you can't just be like just resign.
Because maybe suddenly your time goes slow and then you don't get time to think how to win and then you lose. Or I mean you don't lose, you draw.
The guy has 2 queens and 2 rooks. How will
Oh.
he? How will he?
And 2 queens and 2
Sorry.
rooks.
Who will lose your position?
He
And then I just sacrificed both my queens and 1 rook, and I did a rook checkmate for fun.
Oh my
What?
god, bro.
It's not sacrificing.
Bro, that is the dream pursuit anyone wants. Why would you want to sacrifice them?
Because it's just
I
fun.
think Prayan didn't understand the purpose
It's called torturing your opponent.
of. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a few moves of a game which ended in a draw. Okay, at some point during a game, you have the idea we just discussed: rooks covering the 7th or 8th, basically.
Is this someone game?
Yeah, this is somebody's game. So here, the white player. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, the white player played rook to g2, which is necessary, right? Because the pawn is anyway going forward. You have to be passive and stop it. Who was up material, Srikanth?
It is 2 pawns for black for an
Mhm.
exchange.
Who was up material, white or black?
Up material, white.
White's up in exchange
Yeah.
for a pawn.
For pawn.
For 1 pawn. It's
Yeah,
5
one
pawns.
pawn.
4
So a
pawns.
knight and a pawn for a rook.
So white's up an exchange, right?
Yes.
White's up an exchange for a pawn. That's how we say it. That's the best way to say it. White is winning because white's up an exchange. But black has got chances because he's got a pass pawn and knight is active. So rook g2 is a passive move, but we had to play it to stop the pawn from going forward. Now the black player played rook f5, preparing to play
Rook f2.
rook f2 and get the pawn rolling. So here white play rook g1.
So can I have tissue?
Yeah, 1 second.
Sir, yes sir, rook g1, wasn't there just rook e2?
Allowing rook f2, is it? Rook f2, you want to take the knight, I push, you come to g4. Rook g2, what if I... So, if you had played rook e2, let's see. I just move my knight to f2, no? Preparing g2. So, risky. So, rook to g1. Now, black played rook f3 check. King went to b2. Rook f2 check. Yeah. By the way, if you had gone rook e2, it would have been a blunder. Because
So rook f2.
no, not rook f2, rook f3 and then rook f2, and the rooks are exchanged and the pawn is going to promote. So anyway, so that was the reason why I went to g1. Rook f3, king b2, rook f2, king b3, rook f3. White wants to win this, but he is at the mercy of black. King c2 and knight c3. Is black trying to win this?
Sir, but what black could have done is instead of knight c3, couldn't he have also done rook f2? Then he would have
King
got
moves,
his.
then?
Sir, then put your pawn down. Bring your pawn down.
But then how will you can do pawn till here, but then what? You can't get your knight to control the square.
Sir,
Easily. You
sir,
need to do a
sir,
lot of
knight to
recalculation.
g3.
Knight to g3
Then
preparing.
knight to.
1 second. So if you have played
Sir.
rook f, 1 second, rook f2, what if I had played king d3?
Sir,
Knight g5.
Knight g5 preparing knight f3, but
Knight g5, rook takes pawn.
Sir,
pawn is gone. You'll have to play rook f4, but then king e3. So now already white's king is active. So you've given him counterplay. So king came in, so rook f2 would have allowed the
Sir.
king to be active. Yes.
So can you hold
Shailesh.
it back?
How many moves back?
Um,
You tell what you want to tell. You can calculate one move back, na? So tell us what you want. Then we'll
So
see.
when the king was on. Wait.
You don't know where the king was. Okay, so let's cut. So simply don't. But you have to be sure what you're saying. You can calculate and be sure what you're going to say. Simply don't take the class back. So here, after instead of rook f2, he played knight c3. So it's a very serious move. He's trying to play knight e2, right? He's trying to play knight e2, and if rook moves, is rook f2. So knight e2 will be defending the pawn and this square, and rook will be coming down, protecting this square. Can you stop making noise? So this is a very big threat. So what should white do here to stay in the game, to not lose on the spot?
Rook e8. King.
Let
rook
me-
d2.
Aditya, you were saying?
Rook e8.
Rook e8. Rook e8? Oh, this rook to e8. Okay.
So, but then we can play rook f2, then play knight e2.
Rook f2 would be a piece blunder.
Oh.
These are silly mistakes, Prayan, not expected from a federated player. Don't do this. Calculate one more ahead before making the move. So rook e8 is one option, but white anyway wants to activate the king, na? So he played king d2, stopping knight e2 with the king. So now what should white do, guys?
Black.
Black.
Yeah, what should black do? Can black try to win this, or should he just what do you say, move the knight back? He played knight d5 here, trying to play knight f4 or knight e3. So far we discussed a few moves, right? Out of all this, somewhere along the way, white had a winning position. Where was that? In the last two moves, white had a winning position. So last two moves was knight c3, king d2, and before that, if you go back, there was check, and the king came here. Then the knight came to c3, king came to d2. In the last two moves, white had a winning position. Let's try to find that. What did white miss? Let me make it easier for you. Just the last move. Right here, white had a winning position. This is after king d2, it is equal, because black's knight is active and knight d5 is attacking the pawn. That's probably what black wanted. Knight d5, take the pawn, take this, kill white's chances on that side. So this is where white had a chance to strike. Let's take a minute to find out what white could have done. It's very difficult to recognize that moment during a game, which is why the grandmaster missed it.
So who's this who?
I don't know the player, but it is from two top players. So here, white to play and win. 1 minute to think, no need to raise hands now. Let everybody think and decide. Okay, how many of you decided?
Because he.
So after thinking, 3 people became 1 person. Is it Priya? So then why you were saying something before? Now what happened?
Now I'm again.
That is why you need to think properly before the move. Shrikant.
Rook to e1.
Rook to e1. Exactly. That's the killer move. The idea being?
We're going to play rook e8.
Yeah, rook e8 and threatening checkmate. And black cannot stop it because
They can try rook. They can't stop it because like.
they have only got g pawn to push. Let's ask Neerav, if the black pawn pushes, what would you do?
So.
Neerav, others are people.
So rook e7.
Rook e7 is checkmate. Is there any other move, Arav, that black can do to stop this from happening? The threat is very clear. The move is not yet there. After the move, checkmate is threatened. So right now, black is trying to see what's going to happen, but can he stop it? Any last chance? Hello, Ved. Anything? Nothing, no? Anybody?
Sir, there
any-
is-
What is there?
There's a try for rook f2.
Rook f2, you lose the knight. And then what?
So rook f7.
Rook f7. Rook f7, that's a good try. Because now rook e8, you will play g5. That's the idea, na? But that's, wait,
No, sir, it does not
Hmm.
matter.
why does it not matter?
So then after
g5,
g5, then rook h8.
king g7.
Oh yeah.
So calculate before you make the final decision. Calculate, na? You're already deciding it does not matter before you calculate. So rook f7 is a very good try. Well done, Arrow.
So rook
It,
f7.
it loses the knight. That's the best option we have got. We can
No,
just take the knight
there's
and
also one more thing.
what is it? Rook e8. You want to lose the game?
No, after rook e8,
Then black is winning, I
So
think.
then g5.
No, g5. Black is winning.
h takes,
Huh?
ampersand h
Oh,
takes.
king takes.
Then there's rook g8 winning the pawn.
Rook g7.
Oh.
Yep, the pawn is promoting. So there's no need to take such risk. You just take the free piece. Just take the free piece, and if the but then the pawn pushes, no?
So now
Pawn
rook
pushes.
back.
Then what happens? Calculate. What happens after that?
No, sir, pawn can't push here.
Why
Yes,
can't
sir.
pawn push?
When rook
There is mate. Yeah.
No, what, sir? Before this, black had played g5.
Yeah, 1 second. So let's go back. So after rook f7, rook e8, black will play g5, right? So this is the position. So is taking the knight possible? Is that winning? Or if it's not winning, let's try to find the winning move for white here. Let's think, guys. It looked like we were winning before, but well done by Arav for finding rook f7. So now we need to again think and find out the win. Wait, let everyone think. We can take 1 or 2 minutes. You should be taking more time here than before. Because now you're closer to a win. Has anybody decided? Okay. Neerav hasn't decided. Now what
So
happens?
I thought
So this is what you need to do. Instead of making decisions and then going back, try to take your full time to think before you make the decision. Otherwise, there's no point of thinking if you're making a decision and then going back. Make a full proper decision, na? So 3 people have decided. Aditya.
Sir, if you take the knight, sir, g2,
Take the knight, pawn g2, yeah.
sir, g2, then rook e1,
Rook f1.
rook f1. No, you're playing as black.
Who's playing as black? You're trying to win the game, na, as white. Who's trying to win the game?
Why?
So you're taking the knight. I'm pushing my pawn. So how are you winning?
Sir,
So what are you saying
no,
then?
sir, I can.
Black just pushes the
I
pawn
can
and then
do
you
the
don't.
draw with white.
How will you make a draw even?
Sir,
King takes knight, pawn push,
sir, rook e1,
rook f1.
sir, rook e1, rook f1, g1.
Now you're playing for me, is it? What are you doing, Ashley? You are taking the knight with white.
So,
You are saying white's going to win or make a draw. Now black is trying to win, right? If you're taking the knight, black is going to win, I'm saying. And then after 2 moves, you're playing for me and promoting my pawn. Then you can resign, no? So, 1 second. Arav.
Sir, rook e1.
Rook e1. Coming back.
Yes, sir. Like then,
Wait.
if they push g2, we can go rook g1, and if they put f1, we can take the pawn.
So you're coming back with the rook.
If they push, we go to rook.
Yeah, rook g1 you will play.
If they play rook f1, we'll take
No,
the
but
pawn.
wait. Okay.
No, what is the
Sir,
That's a
So
good
rook F2.
good point. Yeah.
Rook
Rook
f2.
f2, just take the knight.
Sir, no, for after rook e1 and rook f2.
Rook you have to take the knight. That's what I'm saying. Listen properly, na. So that's a good reply. Wait. Let's first understand what he's saying. So rook e1 coming back is a very difficult move because you went there to give mate, but then you forced him to play g5 and now you're coming back. So then the question is, was there a need to go in? Couldn't we have just won the game here? So if you go in, he plays g5, you come back, I can still keep the position intact, right? How will I keep the position intact? Let's say I play,
Rook f2. So,
no, rook f2, king takes knight, I'm down a piece,
So then
again
I'll
you're
go
blundering.
G2.
Huh?
So G2.
g2 what happened? I'll move my rook. You're down a rook and you're going to win. Try to use a little bit of calculation there and make decisions. So, so how did things change now than before? Let's say I play knight d5. Game still goes on. Na? So this inclusion of g5 doesn't change much. Black still has the pass pawn and your pawn is hanging. So the game goes on. If you attack the pawn, I can play rook f3 and defend. So let's go back. So rook e1 is there, coming back to the previous position with g5 included. But let's look for better solutions. How many of you decided? 4 people. Let's start with Aditya. Already got a chance. You have to first. You should have calculated properly. No, you didn't calculate. You were making my moves. So let's go to Vihas now.
sir, king takes knight.
Huh? Oh, you take the knight. I push.
Sir, rook e1.
Rook f1.
Sir, rook a2 is
Rook a7 check, and if king moves, you go back and you checkmate. That's a good solution. So basically, winning a piece. 1 second, patience. So he's taking the knight, and after pushing rook e1, when I play rook f1, unlike Aditya who is going to promote my pawn, after rook f1, he's going rook a7, which is winning. That's well done. I think that is the best solution out of all. But we'll also listen to
So
others.
what if the king goes to G?
Still checkmate, no? Rook will come back, you're saying.
No, the rook
Wait,
is coming in
one
the
second.
F.
1 second, this is the position, right? Rook a7, king g8, rook check.
And then
Rook blocks. That's a problem. Again problem. That's a problem we have. Well done, Arrow. It is a problem, right? So now again black is winning. Unless you come back, but then we can make a draw by coming back. Black will also come, you will also come, and that will be a draw. But white wants to win. So no, Aditya, you need to think properly next time. So let's go back. Let's see what Srikanth has to say. Wait.
Then and then white can play rook a8 in that position.
So the rook
rook
was,
8 I take.
Then we take the rook.
so the rook was on
So
e7.
check.
King f7? No. Wait, which position I talking about? This position. Here. Play rook 8.
Yes.
I promote.
Sir, the knight is gone.
So then we take. Then we
moves.
take.
There's no mate with 2 rooks. You can't give checkmate when I have a queen on the board. That will probably be winning for me because I've got a pass pawn. So that's not worth it. Let's go back. This was the position. Knight was
So
here.
rook was on e8.
Rook was on a8. Yeah, rook was on a8. And here black played g5. So Srikanth.
King takes knight.
King takes knight. I push my pawn.
Then we play rook e1.
Rook e1. I play rook f1.
Then we play rook e7.
Huh?
Rook e7.
Rook e7. Oh, rook e. But still king g. Oh, I can't go to g.
There's no king g.
That's it.
Only rook
Yeah,
f7.
that's it. That's the best solution. So
That's why
take
it's
the knight.
fine.
If black pushes, rook e1, and when black comes to f1, not rook a7 like Vihas did, you go rook e7. That's mate.
There's only rook f7.
Just take it, checkmate. Right. So that's well done, Srikanth. So we finally reached the destination, even though black has some chances, we just win. So in the game, however, this did not happen.
Even
So
though
what
after
happened?
Pawn g1.
Yeah, so even if you find rook e1, it's difficult to win. You have to find other moves after that. So in the game, where was the pawn? Here.
The
Pawn
king
was
was
here.
to D2.
Yeah, he was here.
D2.
No, 1 second. So knight was here. So here,
So
the rook was on
G1.
G1, yeah.
and the king
white,
was on D2. Just
ah,
so-
king was on D2.
Because white had placed
Yeah, white had played king D2 instead of rook D1, rook E1, which would have won. So now after king to D2, knight D5 happened. Black is going for the pawn. So basically the pawns got exchanged. Knight takes D4, rook went to A8, rook F2 check, king E3, knight D5 check, king D4, G2, still risky for white, but he's got it. G2, A5, knight to F4. So suddenly knight E2 is a threat. So what?
There's even rook f1.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So white just played A6. What is white trying to do, guys? So after A6, rook F1 was played. So what is white's plan after rook F1? Is white lost?
No, sir.
What will white do?
Sir,
Arrow.
after rook f1,
Huh.
Rook takes pawn.
Yeah, arrow.
sir, rook pawn is,
Pawn A7, I'll take your rook.
and then
Rook h8.
yeah.
Okay, so you're saying after rook to F1, just push the pawn.
Yes, sir, like these take time to promote.
One
So, but
second.
then can't we do a knight to e2?
No, knight E2 also you will have to take only, no? If you want to take the rook, you can take it now. Why do you want to play knight E2 and then take? Same thing. You will have a one piece over here anyway, right? So after rook F1 pawn push, you are threatening rook H8. If I take the rook, you give a check, king takes, promotes, king moves. I have a rook, knight and a pawn about to promote. So
So
that
if
is
you
not
play-
winning for you yet.
So then-
There is a better move than pawn push, which
So
will
rook takes pawn.
Yeah, you can give up the rook after knight takes back.
Then a7.
Then A7. You're down by one knight, but you have a
So
pawn
what
on
if he
A7.
plays rook a1?
Yeah, he has to play rook A1, right? So after rook A1, how do we continue as white? How do you make it a draw? You're fighting against a
King
knight.
E5.
Yeah, you bring the king in. King E5. Rook to A6.
Then king d.
King D6. Knight F4.
And king
King
c7.
c7.
King C7. No, if you play King C7, I just take.
And then
And then a
king b7.
b7.
King B7 is coming. So you're saying here king to
So then
C7.
king b7. Then why can't we just move the rook back?
No, king C7. Okay, let's say I play a waiting move. You play king C7, I'll play knight E3, and then I'll take this pawn with check if the king is on D7. So here, what? Let's go
So
for.
can't the king go to
So
b8?
Yes, sir.
You can go to B8, then you
B6.
can't move your rook.
B6.
How are you going to
B6 is
promote?
illegal.
B6 is illegal pawn. Oh, sorry. You're saying king B6.
Yes,
B6
the
is there.
rook will be-
Rook is taking king.
No, rook. I was saying rook moves. Now after the rook moves. So, for example, here.
But
this-
so
one
waiting,
second.
waiting move can be something like g6 or something.
No, G6, yeah, G6 can be better. Now, why move the rook? Correct. So, I'll play G6. You will take, I'll take, and then you will play king C7. I'll play knight check, and you play king here. I'll come back. So you'll have to come
You
back.
can't play.
King
Pawn is
C-
there.
King c6.
King can't take pawn. Rook is here, no?
So you play the.
I'm not playing. I'm playing this move. That was not a good waiting move. I'll play G6. Then everything is together, and black still has a pass pawn here after G6.
Black
So-
is winning there.
Not winning yet. I mean, it is a piece up and a
Will win.
passport, but we'll see. But that is why, in this position, white did not play king c7. Here, after, let's see, king d6, knight f4, he played rook f8. That is the time to pick up the knight. Make it equal. Now you have to. White is promoting, so you can't do anything with the knight. The knight is gone. So that was white's idea. And after rook into a7, the game ended in a draw after rook takes f4. They both agreed to a draw. So instead of knight f4, there was not other things to play. The knight had to come back. But when if the knight comes here or here, same thing. Rook will come and take the piece. So it was risky, but at the end, white got black got the draw. Even though white was about to promote.
Even
So
though
in
white had
between there was a
written-
chance, but it was a tough chance. All right. So now we'll start.